All right, well, good evening, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. For those who are meeting me for the first time, my name is Annie Eiffel. I am the director for Healthier Glades. And tonight we're here to announce our upcoming mini grant process. We have been doing this work in the community now since. All right, well, good evening, everyone. Yeah. My name is Annie Eiffel. I am now mini grant. I apologize, guys. I didn't realize it was an echo. Give me a second, please. Okay. Let me stop my share. Sorry, I apologize.
You're good. You're good. Take your time.
Trying to figure out where is that coming from. That's oh, no wonder. I figured it out now. I see it now. There we go. We back now. Okay. I forgot when I set it up, it went straight to, yeah, we'll figure that out. Okay, let me get back. Sorry about that, guys. And I was on the roll too. Okay, so we're going to try this once again. So good evening, everyone. For those who don't know me, my name is Annie Eiffel. I am the director for Healthier Glades. We are a resident-led initiative funded by Palm Health Foundation, and our fiscal agent is Community Partners of South Florida. So tonight we are here to provide the community with information about our upcoming mini grant. So we have folks that are joining us via Zoom. If you can, please put your mics on mute as we continue the presentation. And it's also going to be available on YouTube. So for those who are not able to join, they can view it on our YouTube page. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get started. If you are on the call and you're just now joining us, please go ahead and make sure you put your name and email in the chat so that way we can contact you as updates become available with the grant process. So for many of you, if this is your first time hearing about Healthy Glades, please put your thumbs up so that way I can know and recognize you as being the first hearing about what we've been doing. And so with that, I'm gonna give everyone a brief overview in terms of who we are and what we do. So Healthier Glades was launched in the fall of 2017. And so we have been in this community now since 2017, but we've been active with a director since 2018. We've had two directors for Healthier Glades since its inception. I am the second director that came on board in November 2019. So Healthier Glades consists of the communities along Lake Okeechobee. And as we call the Glades, it's a collective of four communities. So anyone from Belle Glade, Pahokee, South Bay, and unincorporated areas of Canal Point, located west of West Palm Beach. Now, when we first started this initiative back in 2018, Healthier Glades was asked to reach out to the communities to ask them to identify what they wanted to focus on in terms of areas that they wanted to address. Palm Health Foundation gave us an investment of $1 million to be used in our communities for 5 years. And so each year we had a budget of $200,000 that we had to use to implement projects respectively in our communities. But the projects were decided upon by the residents and community stakeholders. And so when we first started, we had a choice of choosing behavioral health, health and wellness, or family caregiving. And within the 4 communities, they decided to focus on behavioral health. And so when we look at behavioral health, we're looking at it not from a therapeutic standpoint, but we're looking at what behaviors that we need to work on to improve the overall health outcomes for our respective communities. as well as work towards finding ways to change the community narrative in terms of how folks view the Glades. And so how we do this work, we work with both residents and community stakeholders, and we focus on our natural assets, our strengths. And that includes resources such as family, faith, and friends. And as you know, we have a strong faith-based community here in the Glades. So when we look at behavioral health, we're looking at how are we coping with day-to-day stressors and what it means to be healthy and well, both physically, emotionally, and spiritually. So for tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about our mini grant process in terms of what's new, who's eligible, what are the focus areas, the application process, and then give you a chance to ask any questions that you may have. So in terms of what's new, and I see that I have some of my former grant awardees that's on the call tonight. So this year, every time we do this mini grant process, I have a board that I answer to, and we update our processes every year. So this year, what we're doing, there's a couple of things that we're doing new this year. One, we're doing a mini grant boot camp workshop, and this is an opportunity for the whole Glades community to come and learn more about the grant writing process. Last year, we did it with our past mini grant awardees, and we received a lot of positive feedback from the group who attended the boot camp. And one of the recommendations was that we offer this before we start our process. So we took heed to their feedback, and this year we're offering the workshop that is open to anyone that is in the Glades area that is interested in applying for our grant. This year, however, the workshops are mandatory and a prerequisite to apply for our grant this year. So you must attend the workshops in order to receive the application to apply this year. The rationale for doing that is because if you try to apply for other grants throughout Palm Beach County, a lot of their processes involve requiring a mandatory meeting or a mandatory workshop. We decided to do a workshop because one of the things we realize is that, particularly for our residents who are not familiar with how to apply for grants, they probably need a little bit more assistance and an introduction into what grant writing looks like and how you're able to apply for grants to receive monies to help for the help with the project that you're doing for the community. When we first started this process back in 2018-19, a lot of our residents, when they heard grants, they were thinking about like financial aid grants or grants for personal use. That's not this type of grant. This is a grant for residents, and I'll go into more detail. Residents and community organizations and grassroots groups who are already doing work in the community, but could use a little extra funding to keep their work going. And so this year, the workshop topics, and we'll start the workshops starting September 9th, and they will be from 5:30 to 7:30 at the Pahokee Marina Conference Room. The workshops will focus on the following areas: proposal ideation and program development, budgeting. How do you budget for your grant project? How much money you think you're going to need in order to implement your project? How do you collect data so that you can use the data to apply for future grants in the future? How do you capture your story when, like, say, for example, if you're trying to apply for grants and you want to share the good news or the work that you've been doing, how do you share that story? And then grant writing 101, giving you tips on how to avoid certain pitfalls when applying for grants. You will be surprised how many people don't even get past the first round of grants because of simple errors that could have been avoided if they would have took the time and complete the application. Now, when we talk about who's eligible, in the past, we used to have anybody who has been awarded a grant from us in the past, as well as new people to apply to be eligible. This year, there is a change. So in order to apply, you must meet the following criteria. If you are a resident and you're applying, we're only accepting residents and that have never applied for our grant or received a grant from us. We've had several residents that have applied and was not awarded. You can still apply. But if you've been awarded a grant from us this year, unfortunately, you will not be able to apply for this grant at this time. I am working on trying to secure dollars to provide sustainability grants that we offered last year for our past mini grant awardees. But for this grant process, it's only for folks who have never received a grant from Healthier Glades in the past. If you're a grassroots group, you may be a group that's forming, but you don't have a 501c3, you can apply. If you are part of an organization that doesn't have a 501c3 status, you can still apply as long as you are in the have a physical address in the Glades and you're serving the Glades. And we'll go into more detail about that. If you are a nonprofit organization who has been in existence less than 2 years, and the reason why we're doing this because usually when you're a nonprofit trying to get it off the ground, when you're trying to apply for grants, sometimes you're competing with folks who have been doing this work for a long time. And we wanted to make sure that we provide support for those who are just getting their nonprofit organizations off the ground. Now, for Healthier Glades, we have several focus areas that we work on in the work that we do with Healthier Glades. The first area is promoting health and wellness. And I'm giving you some examples of physical, behavioral, as well as nutrition. One of the things we're starting to see now is an emphasis on using food as medicine. People are really interested in finding ways to eat more healthy in our community. When we talk about behavioral, talking about bringing yoga into our communities, bringing meditation, creating opportunities to provide massage sessions for residents in our community. And then physical, of course, any type of exercise or activity to promote physical health in our communities. Now, when we talk about storytelling, and changing the narrative, we can use these dollars to support cultural events that you want to do. Say if you wanted to do something to promote the Caribbean culture in the Glades, you can use these dollars to host an event to try to bring awareness about the Caribbean culture in our community. If you want to do stuff around visuals, audio arts, we have a lot of artists in our community. Whether you are a paint artist, musician, a singer, you have those things as well. And then also social connectedness. As you know, we live in a social media environment. And one of the things we realize that a lot of communication is being done through social media. And then developing and nurturing participation channels. Some folks may want to use the dollars to start an advocacy group or a support group. Like say, for example, if you want to do a support group for folks who are caregivers and need extra support or reprieve from being a caregiver, you can use these dollars to set up a support group just for caregivers to give them a reprieve or give them a space where they can talk openly and freely about some of the challenges that they're dealing with being a caregiver, and maybe can learn and get tips from those who are part of the group. Now, as far as the application, in the past, we used to have applications that you can pick up from the library, as well as scan and scan it from a QR code. So this year, applications will be made available after the workshops are completed on October 9th. You'll have probably about 2.5 weeks to submit your application. For this process, there will be no paper applications. Only those who complete the sessions will receive the QR code to download the application and complete it. So you will be doing the application through Microsoft Forms. And we will not be accepting any paper applications or email applications from previous years. And the reason why we're doing this year, because one of the things we're realizing that a lot of the funders are moving away from paper applications. And so we have to prepare our community that if you're going to apply for any type of grant funding from local funders in the community, you're going to need to learn how to submit the application through a portal or through a form in order so that it can be processed and determine whether you're eligible for the grant. Now, for Healthier Glades, and I get a lot of I get a lot of questions on this, because particularly those who don't get awarded, what happens? So for Healthier Glades, we have a two-step process. Once we receive the applications, we do a word count, and we review the application to make sure that the application is completed. We have had several folks who never made it past this first step because they either went over word count or they did not complete the application or check off a box or whatever, what have you. So I'm giving you a heads up now. Please make sure your application is complete and make sure that you meet word count. If you make it past the first round, then we have a review team that reviews the content of your grant and to see whether or not what you're trying to do fits our focus areas and fits our mission for Healthier Glades. So that is a two-step process that we do to decide who gets awarded. We usually award between 8 to 10 awardees. It's not a big pool. So make sure you put your best foot forward when you're submitting your application. Also with the application, I do want to share with this as well. With the application, if you have challenges with writing, please utilize the local resources of your library. At the local libraries, we have a partnership with the local libraries that you can do an ask a librarian, and they will assign you to someone that will help you with, if you have the ideas and you need help with writing it out, they can help you with that piece. So please utilize the resources that we have in the community if you're not big on writing. And so with that, I'm going to close and open the floor to see if anybody has any questions.
Annie,
Yes.
so when you said the one about promoting health and wellness, and I noticed it was on there like walking and Zumba. Walking and yoga, Zumba can be a part of that too?
Yes, if that's something that you want to do, yes.
Okay.
Any type of, and we try not to give you a lot of stuff because the other thing we want to do is we want to see your creativity.
Yeah.
As well. So,
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? And then also, because I see someone from the Divine Nine that's on this call, I'm putting out an all-out plea to my fraternities and sororities, local fraternities and sororities. Please, if you are able to, please apply. I know that several of the organizations have national initiatives that they have to implement, and these are dollars that can be used to support your national initiatives in the community. So please, I'll be saying that again throughout posting stuff on our Facebook page. But if you are a member of a fraternity, a sorority, Mason, Eastern Star, please, these dollars are for you as well. Any other questions or comments? One other thing I do want to share with you, once you are awarded the grant, if you're awarded a grant, you will have until the May 31st of 2025 to implement your project. So as you start thinking about what you want to do, make sure that whatever you want to do with your project, that it can be completed by May 31st of 2025. And then the last thing I do want to share here is when you apply for our grant, if you're a resident, you have to have a address with the zip codes of Belle Glade, South Bay, Belle Glade, South Bay, Pahokee, and Canal Point. Accept any applications if the zip code does not reflect those cities. And PO boxes will not count this year. It has to be a physical address, whether you're a resident or nonprofit. Now, nonprofit may be a little different, and I will update you guys if you're trying to apply as a nonprofit, because I know some nonprofits have a PO, but for residents, you have to have a physical address. And the reason for doing that is because when we first started this the first year, we had so many people from the coast that was applying for our grant, and we wanted to make sure that our community benefited from the dollars from this grant. Okay, so there's a question in regards to, does the same representative have to attend all the meetings if you're representing an organization, or can members rotate? If you are applying as an organization, you can have a different person as long as they sign next to the organization. Yes. Thank you, Ms.
Well,
Brown.
I might have missed it. Is it Zoom or in person, these meetings?
These meetings are in person. So, and the reason why, because this is the reason why we are inviting funders from Palm Beach County to train you guys. So the funders that offer these grants are the same funders that's going to be training you. And it's always good for them to put a name with a face, because you never know where your next connection may come from. So these will be in-person meetings at Pahokee Marina.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. I'm checking the chat to see if there's any other.
Hi, Miss Annie. It's Ebony. I have a question. I know
Yes,
you
ma'am.
said that the address has to match the zip code of the Glades community. What if you want to like offer classes or a support group? Is there any way like maybe you could say form your nonprofit and then link up with a community organization out in the Glades, because it's not many opportunities as far as leasing a place, you know, to have your organization or to host classes, at least from what I've been looking.
Did we lose her? There's no sound.
Miss Annie?
I know we done lost Miss Annie.
Yeah, I think
Okay, that's
she
what I
had
thought, because
been.
it just froze.
Yeah, I think she had been disconnected. Let's give her a minute to reconnect.
Okay. Right.
My apologies, everyone. Apparently my computer just shut down. So please forgive me.
That's okay. That's okay. You're good. You're good.
I think I heard your question, Ebony, in regard, okay, so we've had situations where, we've had, folks identify a local community or a resident that they wanted to work with and had the, application applied under that person. And then you can serve as a collaborator with that person. We've had that. I shouldn't be saying that, but I'm just saying that I've seen that happen. Anybody else has questions?
Yeah, I was gonna ask for the YouTube link.
Okay, I will
You send
email
it out?
that. I will email it out to everyone. But if you go to if you go to YouTube and type Healthier Glaze, it should pop up.
It should be there. Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions before we close this out? And I apologize for my technical difficulties. I'm more than likely, I'll probably host another one right before we start the workshops. So if you want to, if you know anybody that may be interested, I'll post it again on our page, but we'll probably do another one right before we start. But I want to thank, if there's no other questions, I want to thank you guys for taking time on a Thursday to hear about our upcoming mini grant process. And hopefully I encourage each of you to apply. And thank you. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you, Annie. You too.
You too. All right. Bye-bye.